So really now is the best time to overextend myself, right? Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The Bleeckert Authors one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is January 31st, a Friday evening. It is just about 10 o'clock, and I am supposed to be starting another writing vlog right now. But before I do that, I thought I would sit down and kind of reflect on my January and look ahead to my writing plans for February. So I started the year pretty strong with a 12-day streak, including a 7,500 word weekend and then later a 10,000 word weekend. I finished the month at 23,115 words. So about half of what would be a nano pace. So not terrible. If you average that out, that is more than the 500 words a day, then is like my baseline. I did not write every day though. I actually probably only wrote half the days. 1, 2, 3, 10. Yeah, almost exactly half, 15 days. But I came out ahead of where my baseline would have been. So that is a win. Of course, I really should not have flatlined as bad as I did at the end of the month, but I just did. I crashed out. And I think part of that is pushing myself a little too hard and not pacing myself. The 10K weekends are great and all, but unfortunately coupled with everything else, school coming back and my day, like we had the busiest month of like the entire year, like the last calendar year at my day job. And it just ended up taking a toll on me and I crashed out. I didn't feel like I was like mentally down or anything. I just had no spoons. Not a single one. And so I really struggled and I'm still in the midst of the struggle, but my goal here is to try and worm my way out of it. So after that big 10K weekend, I had talked about maybe finishing this draft by the end of February. I was on such a good pace. And I thought that if I could maintain even like 1,000 words a day or 1,200 words a day, I could finish by the end of February. Well, unfortunately, I haven't made really much of any progress in 2 weeks. And so that seems more like an impossible dream now. But there's a lot of daylight between impossible and merely not likely. So I've been doing some math and I figured if I do 7,500 words between Friday evening or Friday and Sunday, so 2,500 words a day, and then 1,500 words Monday through Thursday, I can still make my word count. That's a tough ask. That is writing 28 days straight, something I have not proven I've been able to do, and it's a lot of words. Now, if I try and distribute the word count load more on the weekends, I can do 7,500 words between Saturday and Sunday, so 3,750 on each day average, and then I can bring that down to 1,000 words a day. Yeah, I can do math. Just over 1,000 words a day to get me to the end, Monday through Friday. But again, that is still asking me to write every single day and more than that 500 word baseline. And then that's not even accounting for the fact that I am going on vacation next week. I am driving to Kansas City to watch the Super Bowl in Kansas City with my dad and all the local fans. I have been a Kansas City Chiefs fan my entire life, and now that they're like actually good, it is fun to be a fan. And since I don't live locally, I haven't actually been able to enjoy any of these football wins like with fellow fans. So I told my dad last year that if the Kansas City Chiefs go for the three-peat, that I would drive up and watch it with him in town. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I also just need a vacation. I haven't had like significant time off since Nashville, which was at the end of September. So I need it pretty bad. That will be almost 5 months without like a significant time off. And I'm driving. It's only like an 8-hour drive, but that does mean that I'm going to lose chunks of time both on the trip up and the trip back. And then that Super Bowl Sunday, I'm probably not going to get anything done. I'm not going to, even though the game doesn't start until 5 o'clock and my dad and I are planning on going down there at like noon or 2 o'clock, I'm probably not going to be able to concentrate or at all. I'm probably going to lose that whole day. And then in the days afterwards, I have family there and stuff that I'm going to be visiting. So it's not like I'm just like going to be laying around at my dad's house doing nothing until I come back, which I'm looking at probably that that Thursday or Friday, which would be the 13th or the 14th. But either way, like I'm losing significant writing time in those days. So when you take that into account, then the unlikely creeps closer to impossible. That daylight starts to dim a little, especially since I'm not feeling especially creative of late. But I have found that by aiming higher, I push myself harder than I would if I set my sights lower. So that's what I'm going to do. Starting tomorrow on February 1st, I am going to try and do this crazy schedule. I don't know how much I don't know which version I'm going to apply, but I'm going to try it. Bearing in mind that I have like my first project check-in due on Sunday, plus a paper and a quiz. And the fact that this next week I have to be doing double duty on content creation so that I can have videos scheduled ahead of time. I mean, I guess I could bring my laptop and just plan on doing all the editing and posting from my dad's house, but that's even more writing that I won't be getting done while I'm there. I'm planning on doing a lot of filming tomorrow and this weekend and just scheduling it. I think that's probably better. So at least 2 videos over this weekend. Yeah, at least 2. What else do I have scheduled? Let me look at my schedule. 3. At least 3. Well, no, 2, and then I could still, well, yeah, that one can't be filmed until later in the week. So I may as well do 3 and then schedule them out. But if I'm going to do that one, that means I need to finish this book I'm reading. Okay, so at least 2 videos, possibly a third, predicated on whether or not I finish a 400-page book that I'm only 60 pages into, plus 3,700 words of writing, at least 2,500, plus homework. Oh yeah, and I have to get my car tuned up before I drive to Kansas City, but that shouldn't take long. It's just like an oil change and I need a headlight. And so what I'm saying is I haven't learned my lesson with regards to overextending myself. You would think I would figure that out by now, that it always ends up in me crashing out. But the positive thing is if I can cram all this work into this week, then I'll be on vacation the following week. So really now is the best time to overextend myself, right? I am going to stick with that logic. I'm not going to get any writing done tonight. I had to drive my kids to my mother's. They're spending the weekend with my mother's, which is a 51-mile drive one way, and I am very tired. Also, the end of the month is, as I've mentioned a zillion times by now, my busiest time of the month at work. And this month was especially bad. I'm in accounts payable and accounts receivable, but mostly it matters mostly for accounts payable. And so the end of the month is when we're trying to get all the bills paid so that the financials for the month make sense. And we were the busiest we've been all year this month. So like my expense report was absurd and my brain feels like Swiss cheese. And the last 500 words that I wrote, trying to get back into the draft, following up that big midpoint scene that I had to rewrite and all that nonsense, I hate. It's very, very, very much shaking off the rust, and I don't like it, and I think I'm probably going to rewrite it. It's only like 500 words, I'm not super pressed, but like what I need to do is I need to get in bed and brainstorm a little bit about how I would actually like to approach this scene, because like the first 500 words are not it. Like they're not, I could make them serviceable, but they're just sticking in my craw right now as like very, very, I will just know that it's wrong. It's bad stuff. Even bad for a first draft. It's very much like almost like a practice like scene, like you would do like a practice scene if you've taken a break or if you just want to like stay in the mindset. It's very much giving like it doesn't belong, and I need to kind of get myself back into the mindset of what would actually occur in this opening shots of this scene. So I'm not going to write tonight. All of that to say, I'm not going to write tonight. I am going to brainstorm a little bit, and who knows, maybe I'll decide that I'm being over dramatic and that the 500 words are fine. And on that note, I'm hereby launching Finish My Book February. Hello everyone. It is now about 24 hours later, less than that, 7:30. You're gonna hurt me. Now what? And I've had a productive day today. I got up and I took my car to the shop. I got that all squared away so that I can travel next Saturday. Oil change, my headlight that needed to be fixed, a state inspection. So I am all good to go. While my car was in the shop, my partner and I went and got breakfast. That is kind of our tradition. We learned that our go-to diner closed permanently though. We're kind of bummed about that. And came home, took a nap because the big breakfast really knocked us both out. Then I got up, I did some homework, took a quiz, aced that by the way, did a little bit of reading, did a little bit of content planning, filmed a video, filmed a short. Are you seeing a trend here? Basically, I've done everything that I needed to do today or I had on my agenda except writing. And unfortunately, writing is the biggest bulk of it because I need to write almost 4,000 words. But unfortunately, I'm just really suffering from feeling disconnected from this manuscript. I don't know if it's because of that like moment where I needed to stop and rewrite that last chapter or what, but I'm just feeling very like slumpy writing wise. It's not quite like writer's block. I just don't want to do it. I just do not want to do it. But that makes it even more important that I do it, because if I let this feeling win, I'm never going to get back to it, because that feeling of disconnect is only going to grow and it's only going to make me resent the draft more, and I'm just never going to want to get back to it. So I need to get back into it regardless of how I'm feeling about writing as an activity and the draft in particular. Unfortunately, that means I'm probably going to produce a lot of words that I don't like, but it is what it is. The thing is I've had a lot of really great revision ideas so far. I already know that how I'd like to restructure the book. I'll talk about it a lot more once the draft is finished, but I've got an idea I think that I really want to lean into when I go into the revision, that I think will give the story more personality and make it stand out more. And I'm really excited about it. And then just last night, or maybe it was this morning, sometime over the last like 24, 48 hours, I got an idea on how I want to reshape the main character's arc. I actually hadn't really planned on her arc at all for this draft. I thought it would just sort of come about naturally, and unfortunately it just hasn't come together. I'm halfway through and she's still sort of like very reactionary. And so I got that idea and I was like, oh, perfect. I can really lean into that in the revision. And so, like I said, I've got all these ideas that I'm really excited about to revise. But unfortunately, I've got to finish this draft first if I ever want to get there. And I'm just not excited about it. I'm not excited about writing right now. I'm excited about revising, which ultimately means more writing. It's very grass is greener right now. And the last time I had this feeling, I helped myself out of it by taking some time to start brainstorming my next project. But the thing is with that is I did that as a reward for finishing my writing goals for the day and like making sure that I was still prioritizing Secrets of Empyrean. And so that's not really helpful for me right now because I already want to avoid Secrets of Empyrean. And if I let myself get distracted by another project, it's just going to create more of a divide. So I can't really rely on that right now other than as a reward. Unfortunately, it's 7:30. I have almost 4,000 words to write, and I still have a paper due that I would really like to finish tonight so that I'm not trying to do a paper and half a project tomorrow on top of words and on top of more filming and reading. I still have a bunch of reading to do. Anyway, it's just, when will I learn? I have got to stop overbooking myself. Oh, I've got to go down to my mom's house and pick up my kids in the morning too. That'll take 2 hours. So basically what I'm saying is I've just got to get over myself and do it. And that's theoretically what I'm here to do. I am going to stay in this chair, maybe occasionally refreshing my hot chocolate. This is a new flavor I'm trying. It's supposed to be caramel flavored. So I'm going to sit my butt in this chair and get my 4,000 words, almost 4,000. And I'm not going to get up until I'm done. Last week when I went to the coffee shop, I was able to write almost 3,000 words or just over 3,000 words in 2.5 hours. So let's not pretend that it's not feasible. It's very feasible. I can get 3,700 words before bedtime. So I'm going to stop procrastinating by telling you about all the ways I've procrastinated and get to work. Y'all, this fucking sucks. It is now 9 o'clock and I have made almost no progress. When I sat down today, I had decided I was probably going to rewrite the last 500 words. I think I mentioned this yesterday. I wrote about 500 words earlier this week and I wasn't really in love with them. They felt almost like practice words to get myself back into it. So I decided I was going to rewrite those 500 words. So when I started writing an hour and a half ago, I took all those words out and started the scene over. And then I wrote just over 700 words and realized that I had a scene coming up in like the next chapter or two that was basically a different version of what I was already writing. And so I can't do it twice, and it really fits better later than it does now. So I had to take all of those 700 words and stash them away, possibly for later use, but also just as possibly not for later use. Certain aspects of it would have to be rewritten if I ended up using it at all. So I'm not even counting those towards my progress because I don't even know if I'll end up using them. So then I had to go back and I just went back to the original 500 words that I decided I was going to rewrite, and I just put them back in because I can't think of anything else. And so I have really only netted in the last 90 minutes 85 words from where I was on Tuesday. I'm freaking out at how hard this is. Why is this so hard? Hello, it is now just after 10 o'clock, and I have come to the conclusion that I can't do the crazy thing I said yesterday. I just can't do it. If I were still in the throes of like all the creative energy I had earlier in January, this might be something I could do, but I don't. I just don't have it. Towards the end, I finally started to feel more connected again to this draft and this manuscript and this idea, but not enough to write 3,000 more words. Thinking about it, I still have a paper to write, half of a project to complete, like 200 pages of a book to read, another video to film and edit. And I'm not going to get all that done between now and 24 hours from now. I'm just not. In addition to like all the words that I didn't get done today and all the words I was expecting tomorrow, it's just not going to happen. And I think putting the pressure on myself to produce that is only going to make me feel worse. And so while it was a nice idea to try and cram in this manuscript completion before the end of February, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen unless I hit like a crazy burst of inspiration naturally and I just start ripping through it. But that's not something I'm going to be able to manufacture. I think that's pretty clear now. I can't work at that pace all the time, especially not with everything else that I have given myself to do, and my job and my kids and everything else. So I wrote 550 words. I netted 550 words, which is more than 500 words. I think legally speaking is more than 500 words. And that's it. I am going to take off my pants. I'm going to take off my makeup. I'm going to get in bed. I'm going to do some reading because I have a 600-page book I need to finish by Thursday. And that's going to be the rest of my evening. And then tomorrow, I'm going to have all that homework that I'm going to need to do and the video I need to film and edit and all that. And I'm not going to have time to write 3,000 words. And so what I'll do probably tomorrow is write 500 and be happy with it. And I'm just going to stop manufacturing pressure. Sometimes it works. I do think that I work well on a deadline by and large, but I also have to accept the fact that I just have way more going on. If I could dedicate 6 hours every single day after work to writing, that wouldn't be an issue. But I don't. I can't. I simply can't. Even if we took out the school, which obviously I can't do, and the other creative endeavors, which I could do, but don't want to. Those are healthy for my soul. I just can't. I just can't. And I have been vacillating between accepting that and being ashamed of that. And this pendulum has just swung back to, I don't care anymore. I don't care that I can't do it. It is what it is. And so it is 10:30. I'm signing off with 550 words. I did write an additional almost 800 that I have stashed away, possibly for use later with some rewrites or maybe just for inspiration. So, I mean, it's not like I spent all this time just getting 550 words. Those other like 800 or so were useful they helped get me back into the mindset, even if I don't end up using them. So they weren't completely wasted, even if they don't add to my manuscript total. And that's it. It was exciting for a while to think that was something I could achieve. But apart from an hour and a half where I took a nap today and breakfast with my partner, which was also at the same time my car was getting fixed, I've been working pretty much all day. I mean, if you count reading and content planning and homework and all that as working, which I do. Then I've been working all day. So I am going to get in bed and work some more. And by that, I mean read. I will get up tomorrow and I promise that I will write. I feel pretty confident that I will write. I mean, I need to be at my desk anyway to do my homework, but so I think that I will write, but it's not going to be like the crazy amounts that, you know, I would love to see as my output. And then, you know what? That's fine. I think it is really easy to get caught up in the high of being super productive and not realize that it's not sustainable. And I think I fell into that trap. I got really excited about that 7,000 word weekend, which I then followed up with a 10,000 word weekend. Yes, it was great. And that put me so far ahead of the curve. Even though I only wrote like half the days last month, I still ended up ahead of my word count. If I had just stuck to my 500 words a day, that's pretty awesome. The circumstances surrounding those weekends worked out, and they're not always going to. And I think I just tricked myself into thinking that it was not a special occasion, that those were something I could do all the time. Right now, I'm gonna shift my focus to just establishing a baseline writing of every day, like I did at the beginning of January, where I wrote 12 days in a row. So my goal for February, revised from whatever nonsense I said yesterday, is now to write 13 days in a row. And that'll be tricky because, again, I have 2 travel days coming up in that period between now and the 13th. And not to mention all the time I'll be spending hanging out at my dad's. Who knows, you know, that the 13-day streak can start at any point. I feel like I just said a bunch of nonsense, which means that I need to stop talking. So I will just check in with you guys tomorrow.
Hello everyone. I did not filming an outro for this video because, well, I didn't end up writing on Sunday. A more predictable ending could not be found. Yeah, basically I spent like the better part of the morning. Well, first of all, I spent the better part of the morning collecting my children from my mother's house. Again, that takes about at least 2 hours just in drive time. And then, you know, about 45 minutes in yakking time. We were all extremely shaken by the news that Luka Doncic of the Mavericks was traded to the Lakers. We are a Dallas family, and we were all pretty shaken up by that. My daughter especially was like literally in tears. Anyway, so I got back, and then I needed to do homework because I never ended up writing that paper that I was supposed to do on Saturday night. So I wrote a paper, and then I had to do half of my project. So I did that. It ended up not being too bad, but it did take up the majority of the day. And then I was like, that's fine. I'll write in the evening. That's kind of my penchant anyway. So I made dinner and all that. And then my daughters wanted to watch the Grammys with me. And I'm not usually a big awards show girly, but we have all very much gotten into Taylor Swift over the last 18 months. So we wanted to watch for Taylor. And that turned out to be a big fucking waste of time because the Torture Poets department got snubbed in every single category. But Taylor looked amazing, and I guess she was having fun, but it was a 4.5 or almost 4 hours of nothing. Can we just talk about that for a second? Like, what happened to the Grammys? Like, I remember when I cared about all that stuff when I was like a younger woman, and I feel like there were a lot more awards given out during the Grammys. I felt like it was like bang, 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 award. And now it's just like a zillion performances and just like random crap going on. And I understand that they were doing a lot of fundraising for the fires. You know, no problem with that. But it's just like, man, that was almost 4 hours of what I felt like nothing. They really, if they could have condensed that down to maybe an hour. I don't know. I just call me old-fashioned, but I feel like we should have seen more awards during the awards ceremony. But anyway, and so it was like, almost 11 o'clock by the time that was over, and then my partner wanted to go to bed, and I didn't feel like moving all of my, like my laptop or anything out of the bedroom, and so I just ended up going to bed too. And that was Sunday. And now I am in the throes of this week where I am trying to do double time on all of my content and everything as I am getting ready to be out of town. My partner also has a medical procedure that I have to chauffeur him to and from because he can't drive afterwards. And then I've got a dentist appointment, and it is a bad time for writing right now, is what I'm saying. It is just a bad time. And I would love to say, you know what, I'm just going to take a break. It is not the right time. I obviously am not feeling very motivated by writing right now, and I'm about to go on vacation anyway. Let me just take a break. But you know what? I've already been on a break, right? It's been 2 weeks, and I can't take another 2 weeks. I just can't do it. I have got to learn how to write through adversity. That's all there is to it. I have got to learn. So I'm gonna keep trying. I can't promise a lot of success, but what I will promise is that I am not going to give up. My results might be varied and they might be unimpressive, but I am not going to just concede defeat and give up on the idea that I can finish my book expeditiously. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's a lot of daylight between impossible and not likely. And while I'm closer to impossible right now, I'm not going to just throw up my hands and be like, okay, well, I can't do it, so I'm not going to write at all in February. I'm not going to do that. I am still going to write as much as I can to get as far as I can. And like I said, that might mean 200 words a day. It might mean 1,000 words every Saturday, but I'm going to try. That's the whole point, is I'm not going to let myself wallow in this feeling of not wanting to write, because that is a trap. It is a trap that I have fallen into many, many times over the years, where you give yourself a little bit of ground to step away from writing, and then it becomes hard. And with every single day that passes, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder to get back to the writing. And I know this because I have fallen into it many times. I have, half a dozen abandoned projects sitting in my trunk right now because of that, because the motivation for whatever reason wanes, mental health problems, family stuff going on, whatever the case may be. And then you step away, and then and by you, I mean me in this case, you just feel like you no longer are in the characters' heads, or you no longer understand your own plot story, your plot or your story or whatever. And it just becomes something you don't care about anymore. And so I know myself, and I know that I've fallen into that trap, and I don't want to get this far and let that happen again. So while it may not be the huge success that I would love to be having of writing every day and finishing my book by the end of February or whatever, but success in this moment to me means not giving up. And so I'm not going to give up. And if you ever have felt like this, or if you're feeling like this right now, where you're just failing down on your project, or you're not wanting to write, or you're struggling to feel like the passion for writing in the moment, my advice would be, and not all advice should be taken, so, take it or leave it if you want, but my advice would be to not let yourself give up. Take what you need to feel mentally healthy and all of that, but don't let yourself abandon something that you once had passion for just because that passion has dimmed. Okay? Just evaluate if writing is something that you want to continue. If it is just a hobby, or if it's something that you want to make a profession or a career, or something that you want to pursue seriously. And recall that, if writing was your day job, yes, you could take a vacation, or yes, you could take time off or a sick day, but you would still have to go back to it and get back to the job at hand. And that is kind of where I am with my writing right now. I can see the vacation on the horizon, where I'm going to have all this time to mentally reset, and I'm already starting to check out, not just in my everyday life, but obviously in my writing as well. All that to say, take breaks, but don't let yourself completely abandon an idea or a project, or the idea of writing professionally completely, just because your motivation may be at a low point. That's my soapbox. I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. I don't know that I'm going to have a video later this week or even next week. We'll see. I don't see myself doing a ton of writing between now and when I get back from vacation. So it could be 2 weeks before you see me again. I've already gone ahead and pre-scheduled some videos for my other channel. I've already got them filmed and edited and everything. So that my reading channel, my lifestyle channel, which is Read, Share, Repeat, and is linked in the description below, will be full of content if you're into that sort of thing. But I just don't see writing vlogs or writing happening. Now, we'll see. Again, we'll see if I I've got some other ideas that are not writing vlogs that I could get filmed and edited in time. So if that's the case, I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.